Okay, we're back with another Suzerain Kingdom of Rizia. Okay, so yesterday what happened is that okay, currently we are in turn 5. Okay, we're in turn 5, and what happened in the last stream is that um basically we were still like suffering a bit from the deal from Palace because like it is quite steep. It takes 5 budget. Okay, it takes 5 budget, and alongside with um 5 budget alongside with a couple with money per turn. Okay, as you can see here, where is it? Oh, when it's completed we need to pay like 3 budget per turn to Palace. So right now it's still good. Okay, I wonder when is it gonna complete. Give me a second, let me just check overview. I think maybe it's military, economy, diplomacy, situation, and mitigation, mixed global image. Wait, mixed global image? Hmm. Bromberg, X, ATA. Not that. Is it economy? There's negative impact on the locals. Ooh. I don't know where it is though. Valempri's provincial tax lowered. Decision to discriminate to us poses a challenge to the national treasury. This fiscal concession aimed at stimulating regional sovereignty comes at the cost of reduced overall state revenue. Trade deal with Palace. They haven't like mentioned it. They haven't mentioned it like the exact ramification of our choice here. But easy to say, like we're gonna like take a bit of a hit to the budget later on, okay? But as for now, like we did have Zille to contend with, okay? Because in the last stream, President Smolak from Wackland, he basically like um used he triggered like the AN mitigation terrorism, something like that, okay? So basically like allowing him to like extend like the deal with Zille for 3 more years, and we just cut a deal, and it's basically that we are sending stuff to him, okay? But at the very least, when we send the stuff to him, we're not like partaking in any of his um we're not partaking in any of his negative uh like on the blue dish, like basically his tyrannical acts, okay? So even if like we look from our perspective, it seemed like they're just extorting us. So that's a good thing on our image, okay? So let's hope that things will be settled properly and nothing else go wrong. Right after I said that, there must be something bad going on. Thaddeus Azaro discharged from the hospital. General Azaro has returned home after spending an extended period in the hospital due to a stroke. The family patriarch is still suffering from convulsion, but will now focus recovering further in Azaro Palace in Montclair. So another thing about Azaro family is that Lucida also like make a move on us, but like I'm afraid that we're gonna have like a child out of wedlock, and that's gonna like ruin a lot of problem, okay? And also there's a fact with this is a problem um with Vina, right? So with Vina, we well she's supposed to succeed the throne, okay? If we have like a son with Lucida, then there's gonna be a problem. If it's a daughter, then like we can still argue that Vina is the elders, okay? Hmm. Working rights extended to Wessex, the royal parliament to Wessex. Yeah, this is gonna make like we don't have a chance. We don't have a choice to like give this 0. Okay, we have to give them something. At the very least, we didn't give full rights. Rizia Wetland signed preliminary deal for Zille return. Arcadia economic growth slows to 5%. Zille handover officially postponed. I think this is the one before. Okay, right now, I think for now moving on, like aside from like the port thing, like we need to focus on the welfare. we've been focused too much on the economy. So I do want to make the syllabus one. I do want to make the syllabus this one. Okay, syllabus consumer industry park. That's something I want. But I think, like, as you can see, it's pretty red. So I want to make this better for it for now. Okay, maybe for 1 or 2 turns. Like, now it's turn 5. Turn 6, we're still gonna focus on welfare. And turn 7, we can, if there's nothing wrong, hopefully we can go back resuming to economy. Okay. So Zille resistance funding. We have the option to fund resistance movement in Zille region. These could help increase pressure on Wessex government to return Zille to Rizia, but they could also destabilize the area, further justifying Wackeland's decision to hold onto it for national security reason. So here, I don't wanna fund Suomi now. Okay, we're just gonna give to the ATA, basically it's the nationalist official one. Okay. Now, what else? I do wish that, the Azaru chest. Okay. If you ask me, I do wish that from time to time we also get some sweet deals that will actually increase our budget, because most of it is unexpected things. Usually it's a bad thing. Gathering of MIT's board of member states. The thrum of helicopter blades was almost deafening as we prepared our descent into the Mathium International Trade Zone. And yesterday in the AN, the Alliance of Nations, we also have a couple of things. Okay, mostly it's about Chancellor Hegel, and one of Chancellor Hegel's move is based, into the Alliance of Nations is basically him wanting to enforce more socialist, but I feel like he's trying to take advantage of the prime minister of the country as well. I look out the window. We were above the Mathium Basin, an expansive dried up lake containing millions of years worth of sedimentary deposits. The past decade's industrial activity had turned it into a mosaic of underground and open pit mines linked by routes, railways and makeshift canals. Smoke rose from the surrounding refineries, turning the sky a musty shade of orange. We have to think about it carefully though, because we're gonna be reduced to +3 later on, not a +6. Okay, and if MITs I wouldn't mind losing 1 or 2 per turn, but above 3, I think I'll be having a hard time, because we're not gonna get any budget after all after that. My eyes followed a cargo-laden freight train as it departed the Meftian station. Next to me in the helicopter, Elena noticed it as well. One of Lesbia's by the look of it. The gold will be shipped out of the Muardian port and reach Venerobin by this evening. And from there straight into Prime Minister Alvarez's pockets. The birthplace of lesbian protectionism, relying on international partnership for gold imports. Tell me how that squares up. I think we'll say number 2. You're absolutely right, Your Majesty. Lesbian economic theory does favor domestic production over foreign imports. But they make an exception for resources like gold and gas, especially when lesbian companies have a hand in their extraction. If you recall, you took a rather pro-Morella stance at the Alliance of Nations sessions. Are you still leaning into that direction? Yes, the trade zone is on Morellan land, so naturally Morella should have a greater say in its operation. Okay, I want to respect Morella's wishes, but we can't ignore the MIT's great economic importance to our kingdom. No, since my talk presents more we can't afford to lose any more of our gold. I think we'll go for number 3. No, we can't. I'm sure we can reach a compromise that doesn't result in a total loss for us. We hit a rough patch of air as we continue our descent. I feel the gold disc in my sweet pocket bump up against my side. By the way, didn't you mention back in Callus that you were an expert on antique coins? She adjusted her hair with a proud smile. Why, yes, you remember more about that night than I do, Your Majesty. I showed her the disc Rusty had given to me. Her eyes widened in glee. That's no coin, Your Majesty. It's a resonant era Wuchas's prayer medallion. It was originally worn around one's neck with the intention of keeping Saint Ruhek's teaching close to one's heart at all times. Sounds like it could be helpful in warding off an assassination attempt. See. How much do you think it's worth? It could be thousands. It's very old and very rare. We gently touched down on the helipad of the Cooperation Center, the building where the ITZ board meetings and other diplomatic functions were held. We were immediately met by a large security retinue and ushered inside the reception hall, where the welcome ceremony was to take place. Alma Santana greeted us by the entrance. A security staff member showed Alina to her seat, while I followed the Morellan Prime Minister to the front of the hall. Thank you for coming, Mr. Toras. I shouldn't say Comrade Sultana. Prime Minister Sultana, a pleasure to meet you again. And you, I hope you've been well since our encounter at the AN. I was gladdened to hear you were able to reach an understanding with Wacklin. It gives me hope for today's talks. I would not call it understanding. Wacklin is holding our land hostage. We haven't solidified our agreement yet. In fact, it would be very helpful to have international community on our side now. Yeah, I think we're gonna put pressure on her like this on the second one. If you're open to a negotiation presence point, I don't foresee a problem. Okay, we go for number 2. Likewise, Mr. Toras. She gestured for me to follow her. I like to start straight away, but my advisors have persuaded me that diplomatic protocol must be followed. A stage has been set up, backdrop by our country's 4 flags. Patricio Alvarez was already sitting there, looking somewhat bored. I took my place next to him. He didn't acknowledge me. Good afternoon, Mr. Prime Minister. How was your ride here? Good afternoon. Greetings, Your Majesty. We both fell silent. I noticed a certain blurriness in his eye. I wonder whether his decision to quit drinking had lasted. Yeah, we did know that he's like a drunkard. The halls began to fill up with dignitaries, ministers, and head of corporations. Rusty Montoro was in the back row, talking animatedly to a Russian politician. He broke up his conversation to throw me a wink. The doors to the hall suddenly swung open. Emmerich Hegel entered accompanied by a pair of bodyguards. He and President Sultana exchanged cheek kisses. Alvarez could barely disguise his look of scorn. They're not your friends, you know. They're out to bleed both of us dry. I have faith that we can give Morella its due without our economies coming to ruin. Sultana and Hegel joined us on stage. The Volkslanian Chancellor shook my hand with an encouraging smile. What are you smiling about? Good to see you. Actually, I was hoping to speak in private later. Good that you made it. It's time we settle this silly debate. Should I say we should meet in private later? Maybe we should. Maybe you should. Let's try and say that. That very much depends, Mr. Toras. The 4 of us posed for photograph, the Morellan national anthem was played, then those Vagslan, Rizia, and finally Lesbia. That shows who takes what priority, doesn't it? It's just a ceremony, Mr. Alvarez. Don't read too much into it. When the music died down, we were escorted to a conference room together with our key ministers, security detail, and a number of legal advisors. Once we were seated, Prime Minister Sultana spoke. Thank you for carving time out of your schedule to join me today, gentlemen. Just a moment. I want to take my phone. She looked around the table at each of us. Over 35 years ago, our country signed an agreement regarding the sharing of resources in the Maftium Basin. At that time, Morella was capable neither of exploring the full potential of the gold located here, nor fending off the raids of our dirtier neighbors. It was only with the cooperation of Rizia, Voxen, and Lesbia that the international trade zone could become a thriving industrial center as it is today. However, our predecessors failed to recognize the social and moral responsibility that comes with such an economic endeavor, and Morella paid the price. It's high time for us to revisit the original agreement. Like, if we say this, without a doubt, like, it could be neutral, but we know what everybody wants, okay? By coming here. And Lesbia is not gonna be happy with that, okay? Lesbia is not gonna be happy with that. And it's not like I'm trying to like curry favors with them, but I don't want to make an enemy out of them as well. Okay, give me a second. Okay. I beg to differ, Miss Sultana. Whether at home or abroad, Kingdom of Rizia has always committed to responsible mind. We shouldn't say that. If the myths had truly had such a negative effect on Morella, why has no other leader before you brought this up? Maybe we can say it's high time we revisit the original agreement. I'm afraid my government will not be satisfied with a cosmetic adjustment to the MITS contract. All of us, Morella included, have benefited from a contract that allows us to pay its workers less and grant them fewer protection than in our individual home countries. At the same time, the area around the trade zone has been turned into a dumping ground of toxic chemicals to the detriment of our water system and the people who depend on them. There's only one way forward. The myths must be restored to Morellan ownership. Ooh. That's a bit unfair. Is this actually what you believe, Miss Sultana? Or are you just parroting the words of Chancellor Hegel? Say nothing. This isn't the way I would have phrased it, but I too have concern about the growing closeness between Morella and Republic of Voxland. Okay, here, but that doesn't give you an excuse to belittle her. You're right, of course, but my question still stands. Yeah, it's good that he understands that. The current cooperation between Morella and Voxland is based on mutual respect. There's no string pulling. That mutual respect shouldn't impact the shared objective of the trade zone. Every nation should be treated with equal regard. Yeah, I wouldn't mind giving them extra, but to give them all, that's a bit unfair because like for the past 35 years, they also receive benefits, but like I say, they should be given a bigger share. Yes, Mr. Alvarez, not every international relationship is one-sided between the Lesbia and Palace. Why would it take for Rizia? Okay, every nation here should be treated as equal regard. If the nation of Rizia and Lesbia are willing to listen to my wishes, I have every intention of returning the favor. Chancellor Hegel and I have begun work on a proposal of transfer of ownership to the midst to the Morellan state. The assets currently owned by Voxland, Rizia, Lesbia would be purchased by a new Morella-owned company, formed specifically for the governance of MITS. Each country would then have an opportunity to buy shares in that company. No, that's a bit unfair. The Republic of Voxland has already agreed to forego that opportunity. Sultana noted. Should Rizia and Lesbia choose to buy shares, they could still continue operation in some capacity, albeit under strict oversight and with a more input from workers. Some capacity? How generous are you, Madam Prime Minister? That sounds like a fair enough deal. You must understand that I have Rizia's own interests to think about too. If I'm to agree to this proposal, I have to know that our economy will remain stable. If it's oversight you want, our companies can implement that more efficiently without the interference of your government. I think this is the best. Sultana shook her head. The tragedy of the commons, Mr. Toras. As long as there are foreign nations trying to wring profit out of their limited resource, individual regulation will fail. The competition that your capitalist system prizes so dearly is but a race to the bottom that ignores both human rights and ecosystems. There is no innovation without competition, Mr. Hagel. Where do you think Latvia's fancy money equipment come from? You're in the wrong hands, perhaps, but it doesn't need to be that way. I'm not talking about competition. I'm talking about working together to build a more equitable... Yeah. And what does gentleman from Latvia think about this idea? I'm open to alternative that does not involve Morella obliterating the decades of investment we have poured into this region. Morella recognizes and appreciates your contribution to the Mets, which is why your input would be solicited should we vote to proceed with nationalization. And if we vote not to proceed, what then? Then we will have to go back to the drawing board. In the case of a split decision, we would have to renegotiate the initial ITS agreement until a way forward is found. But Morella will no longer accept the status quo. Nor will Voxland. While Latvia stands firm in a commission that the ownership of the Mets should not change. If His Majesty knows what's good for his kingdom, he'll agree with me, more or less. Everyone seated at the table turned to look at me. Elena cleared her throat. Are you ready for the vote, Your Majesty? A few more questions for the board. I don't wish you to take this decision lightly, Mr. Toras. What else do you want to know? I still want to know why Voxland is only supporting nationalization now. Why didn't you hand your IT stake back to Morella after the revolution? I'm sorry, Mr. Santa, I still don't see how the benefit of nationalization outweigh the drawback, especially where Rizia is concerned. As a supporter of Save the Aurfold initiative, I want to know how your nationalization will plan to tackle the pollution issue. Ooh. If the nationalization vote does not pass, will you still be here if you complete some differences made? Okay, I think that's number one. We're gonna push Voxland. A valid question, Mr. Toras. Voxland's socialist values indeed took a backseat to economic stability in the early years of our republic. But more importantly, the prior leaders of Morella could not be trusted to manage the midst with compassion and consideration. Giving away our stake then would have done more harm than good. Your government was promoting labor union federation in Voxland while underpaying miners here in the midst. If that isn't the bracelet or the cause, I don't know what it is. Yes. Compassion and consideration are vague terms. How would you prefer the midst to be run? And you believe the current Morellan government is capable of such compassion? You don't need to justify yourself. Vargos invested heavily in the mid. There was no... Oh, this is good. But I think I want to push him a bit more, number one. We were struggling to find our footing after independence of our colonies. Insisting on the ideology of purity would have destroyed the republic we were setting out to build. But I now trust Miss Sultana Coalition to develop a system in which the miners themselves have a greater say in its operation. I'm prepared to help them to develop it myself if necessary. What happens if Miss Sultana's government gets overthrown or corrupted? Our dedication goes beyond any single Morellan administration or leader. We will include provisions that safeguard our agreement in the case of such changes. But that won't happen. Will it? Not with Hale by your side. The Chancellor can dress up his action however he pleases, but his support for Morella is nothing but a transparent attempt to regain Voxland's foothold in South Merkopa. Are you worried about losing your grip on palates? It's a little late for that. Countries can support one another for reasons beyond their political... Not just Voxland, the long arm of the CSP is involved in this. The CSP has no involvement in what's happening here. Miss Sultana is merely standing up for the rights of her own countryman and woman. Is she? Then let me hear it from her own mouth, Miss Sultana. Can you confirm you have no interest in joining the CSP? She looked defiant. Our struggle for control of the myths is connected with the worldwide struggle against a system that prioritizes capital gains over human welfare. That is all I have to say. I'm sorry, Prime Minister Sultana, but I still don't see how the benefits of the nationalism outweigh. Okay, this one is, we can ask all of them. If one only measure benefit in terms of profit, then yes, I admit our proposition is hardly advantageous. With that said, centralizing myths and restructuring its operation with a view towards sustainability will serve us all well in the long term, as well as fostering goodwill between nations of Rizia and Morella. Goodwill is vague. Are you talking about trade agreement, military alliance? I think we can say goodwill is vague. I'm open to discussion, Mr. Toras. Hegel looked disgruntled. Morella is only now embracing its full potential, Miss Sultana. Saddling yourself to a monarchy will only make you weaker. Rizia has treated us with respect thus far. I owe King Romus the same. Ooh. As supporter of the Save the Arufeld initiative, I want to know how your nationalization plan will tackle the pollution issue. Of course, Mr. Toras. At the beginning of its operation, companies like your RRG were allowing their wastewater to drain directly into the Arufeld River. Techniques have been refined since then, but the damage has lingered. Toxic chemicals continue to leach into the river's watershed and are slowly poisoning the surrounding communities. I might add that the river empties into the Gulf of Mordia, which is bordered Rizia, Derdia, and Wekland as well as my country. I'm sorry what your people have gone through. Any plan for nationalism or otherwise must address this. And who allowed for the company to who allowed for the runoff to happen in the first place, Miss Sultana? The board could have implemented better regulation from the start. How do you know the damage you speak of is tied to the mines? I don't think it would have contaminated the river. I think we'll push her on this number 3. She sighed regretfully. My predecessors intentionally kept its regulation lax to attract investments. They were willing to overlook the consequences as long as they kept turning a profit, but no more. Our nationalization plan would not only mandate stricter environmental oversight over the mine, it would also allocate a portion of revenue to cleaning up the river and aiding the affected communities. Wouldn't it be more efficient if the mid-stakeholders took charge of such effort themselves? It would be difficult to undertake such a huge environmental effort and institute fair pay for workers. Yeah, I think it is a challenge, but one we are prepared to face, ideally with the help of our international partners. Prime Minister Alvarez, if the nationalization vote does not pass, would you still be willing to address the complaints Prime Minister Sultana has made? Of course I would, Your Majesty, he sat up straight. I would just like to point out that what a towering achievement it is that the myths exist in the first place. 4 countries with 4 vastly different governments, coming together for the economic benefit of all. It sounds preposterous, yet it works. The cooperation and yes, competition involved in sharing this valuable resource has not only brought our nations closer together, it spurred innovation far beyond what any of us could achieve individually. We could harness that the same spirit to address the very valid concern of Miss Sultana has brought up about the environmental and human rights. He shrugged. Or we could all throw all of that away, scare off investors, and put God knows how many people out of work. Because, why exactly? To score a few points with our Eastern comrades? Sultana and Hegel both had icy stares on their face. But you would not be willing to decrease Lesbia's profit share. You're doing Morella a disservice by resorting to such gross oversimplification. A nice thought, but I have a hunch that as long as Lesbia keeps its stake in myths, sustainability will always come second to profit. You see, Mr. Hegel and Sultana, ideological differences shouldn't keep us from preserving what we have created. We should say this, you're doing Morella a disservice by resorting to such a gross oversimplification. But not an inaccurate one, right, Your Majesty? Mr. Toras, if you meant if you meant what you said at the AN, you shouldn't even be entertaining this opinion. Sultana glanced at him uncomfortably. Whether it decided today, I'm willing to work with both Rizia and Lesbia. Our differing outlooks shouldn't get in the way of peaceful compromise. Alright, I'm ready to move forward. Wait, I can't discuss with Elena? And by move forward, you mean... I would like to confirm my treasurer before casting my official vote. The others at the table glanced around impatiently. Prime Minister Sultana allowed it. I understand. We set up a separate room for you. The rest of us can break for coffee. The group dispersed, Elena and I seated in a smaller private conference room. Before we continue, Your Majesty, I do think Mr. Montoro should be privy to this conversation as well. Yes, good idea. This decision does greatly affect his company. Yeah, I think even though I don't like his stance, we should give him a seat. Elena notified an aide to send for Rusty. A few minutes later, he appeared. Your Majesty, Elena, have you tried Morellan's Sakar biscuit yet? Dude, we're talking about your company now. They're drier than a letter from my ex-wife's divorce attorney. We are here to talk about biscuits, aren't we? Because as far as I'm concerned, the nationalization debate doesn't merit discussion. Elena raised an eyebrow. King Romus here is the leader of our country. If he says a discussion is necessary, then it is. My sincerest apologies to you both. I was just joking. This is not a topic to approach lightly, Darcy. I'll thank you to take it more seriously. You're right. Ellen... Wait. He married Elena? He married Elena? Like right now, just now we saw Miss Werner, so they are ex. Dang. Elena nodded in agreement, then glanced up at the clock. We don't have long. What would you like to begin with, Your Majesty? What will the economic and financial impact on Rizia if Morella goes through with the nationalization plan? That depends on the exact nature of the agreement. Even if Rizia buys back its former share of the MITs, Morella plan regulation will limit the revenue we can earn from it. But by privately negotiating with the proposal terms with Prime Minister Sultana, we may yet be able to make an arrangement where we come out relatively unscathed. There'll be a real risk, Your Majesty. RRG already almost went belly up after we lost Zille. Thanks to you, we didn't have to waste money on needless safety regulation. But still, nationalization could be a killing blow. At the same time, we are facing with the usual high gold demand from Rumberg. We have our new gas holdings to fall back on, but as long as Duke Greenheart does not renege on his end of the agreement, I see, good that we have the gas as a safety net. The agreement is still being deliberated on. We really should solidify on it. Nationalization doesn't seem reasonable to me. What's your opinion? The nationalization agreement doesn't seem beneficial on the surface, but I can see a few possible perks. Elena, how could you? I'm not saying I support this plan. Only that it need not be a disaster for us. Any nationalization plan will still need Rizia's support to go through. That means we'll be in position to make demands. What we lose in gold, we could gain by making a good energy deal, for example. Sounds like I got my money on the wrong resource. It's mostly my money, not yours. No, Rizia is and always be the country with the goal. An energy deal would be a better long-term solution than relying on gold mining in a foreign country anyway. As long as you have enough to offer, that is. There's one other possibility, she lowered her voice. We not only buy back Rizia's share of the MIDs, we purchase Lesbia's out from under them. Rusty grinned. That is a plan I can get behind. Push Lesbia out of the midst and increase our gold returns while we're at it? Great idea. Interesting, but I don't know if we're worth the short-term hit to our finances. I think it's worth it though. It's just a thought. What was the Rizian royal goal role in the labor and environmental violation that have occurred in the midst? Rusty mouth drop open. Violation is what they're saying? First of all, I will remind you that Rizian Royal Guild never made our own decision in the midst. We only acted on behalf of whoever wore the crown. All we ever did was follow the rules. What incentive would we possibly have had for going above and beyond? So the Rizian government engaged in worker exploitation and toxic waste dumping simply because it was allowed to. Mr. Werner, you advised my father. Did you ever once spoke to him about this? Elena's face went out. It was a hard time for Rizia's economy. We were under pressure to keep gold prices competitive, especially after the uprising. Prime Minister Sultana Perez agreed to keep the regulation lax in the midst to attract investment. All four partners took advantage of that, Morella and Voxel included. Think about it, Your Majesty. If it hadn't been for the midst, the economy would never recover from 26. The populace would still be sore at the monarchy, and dearly departed Princess Lena would never have laid a hand on the royal scepter. Elena looked appalled. For God's sake, Rusty, be more respectful to your king. What I mean to say is you're welcome, Your Majesty. But if more stringent regulations were placed on the midst, your company will follow those? My counsel is that you apologize immediately, besmirching memory of my life. Will you follow? Naturally, we're not criminals. Of course, the other midst partners would have to agree to the same thing. We can't have one of them gaining an unfair advantage over us. That was everything I wanted to talk about. I think right now, I want to buy Lesbia share. I think that's what I'm aiming for. Lana shook her head. So we might buy, like, you know, if we do that, we might anger Lesbia though. No, we've taken enough time here. We should reconvene with the others. Alright. He locked eyes with me. You know what to do, Your Majesty. He motioned for the guards to escort him out of the reception hall. We headed back to the conference room and settled back to our seats. I'm ready to proceed with the vote. Happy to hear that. Sultana motioned to her secretary to take notes, but used an open voting procedure, going clockwise around the table. The Republic of Morella cast its vote in favor of nationalization. The Republic of Voxel cast its vote for nationalization as well. Being of sound mind, cast its vote against nationalization. As the King of Rizia, I vote for nationalization. The international trade zone should be under Morellan ownership. I vote against. However, I'm open to renegotiate our original agreement to recognize the contribution and sacrifices made by the nation of Morella. The international trade zone should not be rationalized. Furthermore, I do not believe my... Ooh, dang. Okay, I'm open to renegotiating our original agreement to recognize the contribution and sacrifices made by the nation of Morella. But I wanted to buy that though. How do I go with that? Hegel glared at me. So your words at AN were merely for show. A monarch will never have compassion for the downtrodden. It's not his nature. Take heart, Command Hegel. If the King of Rizia is truly willing to build a fairer and more sustainable its with us, then today was not a total loss. I turned to look at Alvarez. He had a plastic smile on his face. Yes, I too am willing to work on a new its agreement that takes into account the complaints of Prime Minister Sultana has made today. We can all be proud of what we have accomplished on this room today. We should inform the guests of the decision. Let's get back to the reception hall. Elena spoke under her breath. Very good, Your Majesty. Voting against nationalization while not completely dismissing Morella's concern was the safest choice. This isn't about making the safest choice, it's about doing what's right. Not that I actually want to give Miss Sultan. It's about doing what's right. Noble thoughts from a noble man. As Alvarez and I stood up, I saw him take another sip from his flask. He noticed my gaze and nodded slightly. So we're making deals with the commies now. It's the only way forward that benefits everyone. Does it, Your Majesty? I'll tell you right away, I don't intend to lose a damn cent. He stepped past me out of the door. Hegel was still seated. I could feel his eye boring into me. Would you like to say something to me? No, Mr. Toras, your vote has said it all. We walked back onto the stage and reception hall and awaited Prime Minister Sultana's announcement. Ah! You know, I think I want to redo it again, though. I think I want to redo it again. Oh, wait. How far back are we gonna go? I think it should nationalize. Like, I want to buy Lesbia's one. Wait, where is this? Oh, this one. Okay. Okay, we're loading what happened yesterday. But I'm scared if I do that, okay? I'm scared if I like buy the, Lesbia share, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. I'll be there in a moment. You need to wait outside, I'll be there in a moment. Thanks to my father's partnership with Wafflin, those killers were brought to justice. A queen, the most valuable. I look forward to it. No time to explain, let's go to the meeting. I wish I could say the same. I can't control. What about residents whose home nothing but cooperative? They don't need protection. I understand, we will make a special effort. Tell me more about this deal. One Republic is not. Your Republic is not known for stability. You're still shaking around on Grand Duchy or Palace. Access to. Okay. What are your concerns? Nonsense. Our mining output has been robust. What are your concerns? I never heard of Wezek wood carvings. Is bilateral migration? So you're trying to drag Rizia down to Wafflin's level. Untapped potential. Your founder in protest of Tarquin's soul policy. Do not besmirch. Yes, their religious fanaticism. Aren't the Gold Condis community outside of Dirdia? Okay, let me just go through. Rizia's duty bound to welcome our fellows Ruhisis. Huge international ramification. Unless what? Proactive? It's your battle to fight. Everything except for how. Do not doubt my kingdom. Okay, let's get to work. Okay, this one here, we're not gonna ask for anything from Wackland, okay? Next. Give wine? Okay, I think we should just give small arms. Do not eat. Do not eat. Do not implement ban. Ooh, dang. Back. I guess we have to. Oh, dang. No wonder. No wonder. Oh, dang. Okay, let's see if this works. Let's see if this works, okay? Like last time, because I did like promise to eat, it's like this. So let's see if this works. Ah, that's not enough. Load last checkpoint. It need to be like just now. That one is like 1. We need to have 2 at least on his side. Oh god, I can't believe we have to go through this again. So heavy delicacy. Delicacy is one thing. Submission is another. Let's see what I can do with that. I think we're in good enough position to negotiate. You need to wait outside. Hope you don't mind. Overstep any bounds. No time to explain. I wish I could say the same. I can't control. Both. What about the Rizzian whom I don't understand and being cooperative? They don't need protecting because they never belong to Zille. Why? What are your concerns? Wood carvings. So you're trying to drag the Xenia down. Oh man, this is long. Okay, man, people. Your battle to fight. Not everything wants a 3-year timeline. Okay, let's get to work. Okay, here we're not gonna ask anything from them. We're gonna give wine and small arms. Okay, we're not gonna eat. We're gonna implement. We're not gonna implement the ban. Oh, Graham with the equal right. This is not enough. This is not enough. We need to give something. We need to give something, okay? Okay. This much is enough, I think. I'll rather sacrifice one budget, but I don't want to sacrifice 2 energy. Like, 2 energy is equal to 3 budget, if you ask me. Do not promise aid, do not implement ban, grant my Zek. With this, he should accept it. Are you sure the timeline can't be adjusted? My hands are tied. Shake his hand. We have quite this, but I'm confident we'll rise to the challenge. Okay. So here we were back where we were at the start of the stream. So we're gonna fund. And from there, straight to person. Okay, like I say, maybe this time we're gonna nationalize it. But at the same time, we're gonna buy. What's this? National map. We're gonna buy Lesbia share as well. But we can't ignore its economic importance to our kingdom. Sounds like it could be helpful in warding off an assassination attempt. I wouldn't rely on assassination to be such a good marksman to hit that thing. Nice, a pleasure to see you. Good afternoon. I have faith we can give morale it's still without our economies coming to a ruin. What about you, Chancellor? It's high time we revisit. Calm down, Mr. Alvarez. The mutual respect with equal regard. Some capacity, how generous. You must understand that I have Rizia's own. I think maybe we can. You must understand that I have Rizia's own interests to think about. If I'm to agree to such a proposal, I have to know that our economy remains stable. It is not my goal to bankrupt any of you. We're willing to make individual agreements with each stakeholder to offset any economic damage done by nationalization. Should we vote to proceed with a proposal, I solicit each of your input. And if we vote no to proceed, then what? Go back to the drawing board. I think we're gonna skip that. Maybe we'll just listen to him. I kind of know what to say. Maybe say you don't need to justify yourself. Vargos invested heavily in myths. There was no sense in throwing all the money away. His face darkened. That was what my predecessor Wilhelm Ulbricht believed, yes. At the time we were struggling to find our footing. Thanks to Pardo, we must now do the same for myths. That's a very admirable view, Mr. Hegel, but Rizia was never a colonial empire. We have nothing to redeem ourselves for. Reparations are a positive step toward addressing past wrongdoings. Perhaps this can serve as a model. It does no one good to dwell on the past. We should be thinking about the future. I still can't help but question your motivation by your sudden show of generosity. What is Valgus getting out of this? Yeah! That's easy, Your Majesty. The Chancellor can dress up his action however he pleases, but his support of Morella is nothing but a transparent attempt to regain Voxland's foothold in South Merkopa. CSP. I'm sorry, Prime Minister, I still don't see how the benefits. Goodwill is vague. As a supporter of Save the Archerful. I'm sorry what your people have gone through, but who allowed this to happen in the first place, Miss Sultana? Wouldn't it be more efficient? It'll be difficult. But you will not be willing to decrease. Confirm my treasurer. Okay, here is that Elena brought up the idea of like buying Lesbia site, right? So like I want to go with that idea. I see. Good that we have the guest as a safety net. Long term. Yeah, this one, I think with this, we kind of like, we purchased Lesbia's out under them. Good idea. Okay, proceed to vote. Okay, this one here, we vote for nationalization. Hegel applauds solemnly. A wise choice, Mr. Toras. History will reward you for it. I'm surprised as I am grateful, Mr. Toras. I look forward to collaborating with you on a fair proposal. I turned to look at Alvarez. He had an artificial smile on his face. I knew when I'm defeated. You can count on my cooperation. I'm absolutely brimming with suggestions. I'm sure you are. Sultana rose from her seat energetically. We should inform our guests on the good news. Let's get back to the reception hall. The Rizian, Voxlandia, and Lesbian delegations slowly began filing out of the conference room. Next to me, Elena spoke under her breath. A brave choice, Your Majesty. We have to drive a hard bargain with Morella or risk disrupting gold production. I know, but I think this will be better for us in the long run. You're the king, I trust your instincts. As Alvarez and I stood up, I saw him take another sip from his flask. So you sided with the commies in the end. Are you surprised? I made my intentions clear. Not surprised, disappointed. First your underhanded dealing with Palace, and now this. You're really starting to test my resolve, King Toras. He stepped past me and out of the door. Hegel was seated. Would you like to say something to me? Not now, Mr. Toras, but soon. We walked back onto the stage and awaited Prime Minister Sultana's agreement. Oh, I forgot to see. Oh, got Grace on. Let's see this Celibus. Celibus anti-monarchy protest. Experts are warning that due to the lack of investment, Rizia's... Ooh, dang. Meeting on internal security. Hugo and Lucida rose to their feet the moment I stepped into the council chambers. My journey from Morella had just concluded, and within hours of being back on Regent Soul, I was called for an internal security meeting. Good evening, Your Majesty. I hope you're not too tired from your trip. Yes, thanks for coming on such a short notice. I know you must have many other pressing appointments. After such a taxing board meeting, I would like to unwind with a glass of Romus Red. Nonsense, nothing is more pressing than Rizia's security. Agreed, Your Majesty. I sat in my designated seat at the head of the table. Hugo and Lucida took their respective seats. Aides placed folders full of information in front of each of us, and glasses of water were poured. Your Majesty, the main reason we call you here is that there's been a breakthrough to the Friendship Day bombing investigation. He gestured for Lucida to proceed. She beamed with pride. Lucida handed me a sheet of paper from her dossier. Thanks to your willingness to further fund our intelligence capabilities, our team in Wachland was able to locate and identify material used in the explosive device. We found a number of capacitors and resistors, which are crucial for creating precise and dependable triggering mechanisms. Despite the fire damage, we were able to trace them back to Circuit Ruse System, an electronics manufacturer in Palace. Its main contractor is the government of the Grand Duchy. I wouldn't have expected the Polynesians to be involved. Palace and Rizia have had our ups and downs, but I have a hard time believing Reinhardt would take such a drastic action. I understand your reservation, but I believe that this evidence warrants further investigation at the very least. Tell me, Duchess Zaro, what would Palace have to gain from masterminding the Friendship Day incident? He must have had something to do. Well, Duchess, what do you think? I think that the attack coming from in the middle of the preliminary explorations for the Aureus gas field was no coincidence. Solving discord between Rizia and Wachland might have been a way to create enough destabilization that we'll be entering negotiation with a place of vulnerability. It didn't work. We got the gas. It worked. He made us pay through the noise. It's all just speculation. I want hard facts. It didn't work. We got access to the gas, albeit at a very steep price. On the other hand, we are on the brink of improving relationship with Palace thanks to that deal. Painting Reinhardt as a provocateur, especially with insignificant evidence, could sabotage our chances of reconciliation. In my opinion, the evidence we found more than justifies a closer investigation into the Polynesian connection. I'm hesitant to pursue a deeper investigation into Palace because of the potential backlash, particularly if it were to surface. I'm not convinced. Shifting focus to Palace might complicate our diplomatic relationship. Yeah, I'm with you, Your Majesty. Such a shift in priorities might not only strain our relationship with Palace, but also with the entire region. Our primary concern should be Wachland's deoccupation of Zille, and the fastest way to achieve that is by confirming West's involvement in the bombing. On the other hand, Your Grace, what if it turns out Wachland is innocent? If we keep pursuing them in the absence of concrete leads, Smollett may use it as justification to hold on to Zille, despite the agreement we signed. Just say the word, Your Majesty. I'll immediately direct our efforts to a more extensive investigation of Palace. However, like you, I think we should concentrate on the resources on Wachland. The idea of Palace involvement in the bombing doesn't add up. -1 budget. But I believe that we have no other choice but to shift focus and make Palace our #1 priority. Nah, number 4. Do we have a number 4? By the authority vested in me as King Rizia, I order you to keep investigating Wachland. We will get to the bottom of this by any means necessary. I decided that ending the investigation will serve us better in the long term. I think I want to use authority than budget, you know. Because these two are the same. But depending on which one, it's like using authority or budget. Investigating Wachland. Lucida pursed her lips. Very well, Your Majesty. I'll warn you that it may be some time before we get results. You go shuffle some papers around. Now that it's settled, I believe there are a number of other less urgent security issues up for discussion. This one's kind of bothered me. Lucida pursed her lips. Like, why does she want to... I do understand that Palace was a part of Azaro, but still, like, Zille is our #1. Okay, now they are indeed. And where would you like to start, Your Majesty? Let's discuss the threat from the populace. Is unrest a problem at the moment? Sadly, Your Majesty, it does appear that citizens in various parts of the kingdom have voicing complaints about the royal government. So far, the protests have been an isolated incident, but we are worried they signify a broader discontent and dissatisfaction that has been festering among the populace. Even in Valencris? Fortunately, no. If you both agree it's serious, then it must be. Go ahead. Overall, it's a multifaceted issue. Autonomy, political power, economic equities are all intertwined in this protest. Specifically, the human rights situation in Rizia is apparently concerning to some. There are actions being organized in protest of Rizia's worsening living standards. The welfare protesters are claiming that the crown has yet to address their demand for increased health and education funding. These protests are taking for granted the stability and security we provide. When it rains, it pours, doesn't it? We need to do a better job addressing the concerns. We need to do a better job. Carefully, Majesty. One might confuse you for aligning with their cause. In any case, throwing money around doesn't guarantee a favorable outcome. At the very least, I'm happy to say there are no signs of anti-monarchist turmoil within our noble houses. Thank God. If the nobles begin backing irate commoners, it'll be 1926 all over again. As to the nature of this unrest, I'm still gathering information on the ground. I don't have specific examples at this time. If escalation occurs, we'll require strategic approach, open to dialogue and compromise. Rushing into action might do more harm than good. Nevertheless, let's continue monitoring the situation. Although the situation remains complex, we will work to find a solution, even if it means making adjustment to the state policy. Reconciling the diverse demands and concerns that said the kingdom might be in order. All of them are same. Remains complex. Although I think that's enough for today, let's adjourn. What's happening with our border security? There isn't much to report, but it's worth mentioning that there's been a surge of Bluish migrants attempting to cross the Gulf of Mordia. Taking advantage of Rizia's open borders, perhaps we should have agreed on Mr. Smolek's Bluish ban after all. Why now? Does it relate to Wackland's anti-Bluish campaign? Is there a particular reason we can attribute this to this increase? My heart goes out to them, but given our limited resources, I'm hesitant to welcome these migrants with open arms. From what we can tell, Wackland is responsible for the situation in the first place. While we haven't observed a significant push, we are aware that they are conducting covert operations to suppress Bluish communities within their borders. It can't be coincidence that increase in migration coincide with my decision not to assist with Wackland's campaign of oppression. Wackland is testing us. Smolek knows that any sudden increase in migration will put a strain on our resources. It can't be a coincidence. We can't say for sure, but it's certainly something to consider. Speaking of which, just this morning, one of our patrol vessels intercepted an overcrowded Bluish migrant ship crossing the Gulf. And they were lucky we did. Our investigation team determined that if they had stayed out longer, the ship would have been at risk of sinking. The 500 plus asylum seekers are currently being processed at one of our migrant facilities. Great, more mouths to feed. It's heartbreaking to think that those who never make it to safety. Thanks for the update. It's good that they were intercepted in time. Certainly, but it's important to consider long-term solution to prevent such situation. Having covered that, I believe I touched upon all the key aspects of this issue. I expect you have some news for me regarding Iza. Your Majesty, the situation in Iza remains fraught with challenges. Your decision to elevate the status of Wazak population has certainly won the crown supporters in Little Warclavitz. Fortunately, that has done little to curb tensions. In fact, it emboldened migrants to openly defy the police. My son has been overwhelming trying to restore order. His men are stretched to their limits. Lucida straightened in her seat, seemingly eager to intervene. Unfortunately, Your Grace, I believe your son is part of the problem. With the Duke's public support of Su Omina, the group has become ever bolder. We are seeing increased violence. There have been reports of clashes in the streets. While it appears that my cousin is incapable of handling the situation himself, following your advice, Lucida, I refrain from deploying Central Police to Iza. It seems that decision has backfired. I knew it was a mistake to not strengthen the police presence. Well, it appears my cousin is incapable of handling. Yeah, this one, like, either way, we have to, like, either, like, condemn Lucida or condemn Hugo. My son's ability to cover him without question is the lack of resources that hinders him. Something must be done about this. The provincial police in Brennas have offered their cooperation. However, given their soft stance on foreigner committed crimes in Salabas and Yalis, we can count on them enforcing our policies. We'll try to overthrow Rico if given half a chance. We shouldn't rely on them. Rico's hotline stance isn't working. Perhaps a softer approach is called for. I wouldn't risk it, not with Iza's current lack of order. I believe we should honor Duke's request for reinforcements from the Central Police without placing them under his direct jurisdiction. Hugo fixed service there. And whose jurisdiction should they be under? Yours, I suppose? Well, yes. Allowing my department to take over law enforcement will leave the Duke free to focus on his governing duties. How efficiently can he be government? I like the idea. Perhaps it's time a grown-up took out the reins here. What makes you think you will succeed where he failed? Your Majesty, look at my track record as Duchess of Montclar. I know a thing or two about restoring order. The Central Police are needed to quell the unrest, but should operate independently from local authorities. Therefore, I will place them under Lucida's command. It is evident that Central Police are needed to quell the unrest. I'll deploy them to Itza and place them under Rico. Nope. Okay, we give it to Lucida. My son is trying to maintain order in Itza. Deny him this power? Thank you for your confidence, Your Majesty. Rest assured their allegiance will be to the crown, not any faction. I think that's enough for today. Let's adjourn. Hugo rose from his seat. No objections from me. I wouldn't mind getting to bed early tonight anyway. Yeah. After saying their goodbye, Hugo and Lucida took their leave. I checked my watch. We concluded the briefing in a timely manner. The weight of our internal security discussion still lingered in the air as I stood alone in the room. With a somber nod to the vacant chairs, I departed, ready to face the responsibility that lay beyond the meeting room. Oh. Survey shows a lack of stable housing affecting birth rate. Oh. Yeah, we need to focus on welfare for the next 2 or 3 turns. But I want to save money to buy, Laspia. I'm not sure gold stores will remain stable despite MIT's nationalization. Working rights extended to Wessex. Rizia, Wetland signed preliminary deal for Zille. The rise of second wave totalist Marxism in Sina. MITs to be nationalized despite Latvian opposition. Anton Rain's presidency. Wait, Anton Rain? That's us! That's us! Ah. RNC requests election campaign funds. Okay, moderate campaign funding, 1 budget. I can't give her too much. Oh, this report. RRP turned Itza a sea of yellow. Thousands of yellow flags and people wearing yellow clothes filled the streets of Itza over the past week, culminating a rally featuring a speech by Manuel Saison and an art of performance of the Ghost of Democracy, the new mascot RPP electoral campaign. With this unique display of force, RPP has set itself up for a strong and recognizable campaign. RNC acknowledged royal funding. RNC kicks off their election campaign. Okay. An evening at the Palace Resna. On the palace balcony, I sought refuge from the relentless affairs of state. The grandeur of the night sky spread before me, stars punctuating the obsidian expanse like celestial jewels, and the city's distant light shimmered, a testament to life, continuing beyond the palace walls. Amid this tranquil backdrop, I found a brief respite from the responsibility that weighed on my shoulders. It was this peaceful interlude that Lucida approached. Her presence on the balcony was a reminder that as a monarch, even moments of solitude can be fleeting. The only question was whether she was here for an urgent matter or something else. Good evening, Your Majesty. Please tell me you're here because you have information on my father's passing. Yes, in fact, made significant progress on the investigation. Business only, it seemed. Really? In that case, let's hear it out. Let me start by saying that I've made significant progress into who may be responsible. So I was correct in believing father's untimely end was no incident. So you do suspect foul play. Unfortunately, yes, there are several individuals I find highly suspicious. Who? Lucida discreetly glanced around us as if making sure there was no one else with us. My initial list comprised of 4 individuals: Gordian, Ignatius, Uncle, and Mother. Yeah, Ignatius, I do understand why. My mother? I hope you narrow it down from there. As a matter of fact, I have. I hope you're armed with substantial evidence. With whom should I begin? Uncle, why him? Of all the individuals I've been looking into, your uncle stands out the most. After the supper on the night of Valero died, His Grace accompanied the king to his chambers. Your golden guardsman claims not to remember what they were talking about, but the maid who was on duty at the time says she overheard snatches of an argument. Are you saying Titus was lying? Hard to say. He may have thought it is inappropriate to listen in on the royal family's conversations, or there was something about the content of his argument that he wants to hide. An argument about what? Apparently the king shouted, "He's not ready yet." She shrugged, which doesn't clear anything up. Dinner was hours before the time of death. How could Hugo have killed him? He could have slipped him some slow-acting poison, either on the stairs or while escorting the king into his chambers. Yes, I think that's it, because it matched up with the Mandragora. Captain Gordon claims to have witnessed no such thing, but a lot gets by him, it seems. And now about the maid. Is there any other reason to suspect Hugo? Well, the counselors and aides I question admitted to sensing mistrust between the two brothers. But as you well know, there was almost nobody the King Valero trusted by then. If your account is accurate, we need to find out more. I agree completely. Given the severity of accusing Grand Vizier of murder, I want to inform you before proceeding. I'm glad you did. If what you say is true, we must handle this delicately. Tell me all the details about my mother's whereabouts. Your Majesty, our investigation effort has unveiled a rather unexpected revelation. The Queen's mother was at dinner that night. Later, as verified by Titus Gordian, she opened the door to your father's chambers and immediately alerted the Golden Guard that he was unconscious. In between, however, Madame Estella was not in the palace at all. Not in the palace? Well, she wasn't there. Then where was she? This may come to as a shock, but it turns out she was attending a clandestine religious service just outside the capital. A Dasturnus service. Are you absolutely sure? We managed to find credible eyewitnesses at the Dasturnus Arc Sanctuary that night who can verify it. An eyewitness? What led you to find it out? The investigation into her whereabouts began when Destinary's literature was found hidden in her bedchamber during a secret search. I didn't think much of it until I stumbled across the name and address of a Destinary sanctuary handwritten on the inside of one such book. My curiosity piqued. I thoroughly investigated the events of that night and gathering records, logs, cross-referencing attendance lists, and witness accounts to solve such puzzle. Needless to say, this proves your mother had an alibi and had nothing to do with your father's death. But it doesn't excuse her attendance at the Destinary's event. Destinary's aside, it's a relief she's no longer a suspect. Yeah, that's what I expect. Destiny aside, let's hear what you suspect of Titus. Yes, of course. She took a quick look before proceeding. On the night King Valero's death, Captain Guardian was charged with guarding his chambers. He's often taken upon himself personally oversee the king's security. Yes, he stuck to his majesty like glue, much as he currently sticks to you. But when I questioned the other Golden Guardsmen, one of them admitted that Captain Guardian left his post that night. The guardsmen assumed Titus' duties for half an hour. The captain could have gone anywhere during that time. That's not like Titus at all. Did he or anyone else enter my father's room during the time? The other guardsman claims nothing happened, but he could have been covering for his colleague. Your guardsman behavior was suspicious, to say the least. This is news indeed. Well, this is news indeed troubling. I always taken Titus to be a loyal protector. I understand your reservation, but my duty is to uncover the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. I want to hear what you found on the Grand Wiseman. Your Majesty, multiple sources have confirmed me that the Grand Wiseman visited the King's chambers the night of his death. In fact, at that time, he was consulting privately with the King on a near nightly basis. According to the Grand Wiseman himself, Valero turned towards God when he sensed that the end of his life was coming. Makes sense, he had plenty to atone for. But interesting is that aside from those meetings, witnesses describe your father's behavior as no more religious than usual. He was even skipping services for some weeks. He wanted his enlightenment straight from the tap. I don't blame him. Maybe, but I believe this inconsistency is worth looking into. Especially since Grand Wiseman Ignatius was one of the last people to see your father alive. Here are the next step for your investigation. Lucida leaned forward, listening eagerly. I'm not sure. Hugo is very sus though. If you think about it, Hugo's like my main. Like he stands the most to gain. Titus is like very meh. He may be an accomplice, but not the perpetrator. Sal, yeah, I don't see much reason for Sal though. Maybe he's angry that he did like we didn't fund the repairs. Ah, and I look at the who killed the king. Oh, who killed the king? I'm looking at it. God damn it. I got it wrong. I got it wrong. I got it wrong, man. Seriously. I seriously thought it was Hugo and accomplice Titus. Like, Hugo, he stands a lot. Like, but then again, now that I think about it, Hugo, he can already influence Valero to a certain extent because he's already went crazy. And like, they can, like, he can circumvent like King Valero's like authority a little bit. Titus is that, like I say, I don't see him as the perpetrator, I see him as the accomplice. But I didn't expect it to go this way. Especially since Grand Wiseman Ignatius was one of the last people to see your father alive. Okay. Let's see. Keep digging on Cell. There's more to the Wiseman than he's letting on. Very good, Your Majesty. Rest assured, I'll get to the bottom of this as soon as possible. Lucina gave a slight bow. Investigating a slight, I would humbly remind you that of that day you owe me. I still haven't found an outstanding befitting of the beauty and majesty of the Duchess of the House of Zaro. Leave that to me then. She flashed suggestive smiles as she left the chambers. Now alone, my thoughts once again returned to the investigation. I assured myself that investigating Sal was the right course of action, but it had to be done. And if my suspicion turned out to be true, especially regarding a man of faith, it begged the question, who could I trust? RNC hopes to secure Monteclair support by embarking on a massive flyering campaign providing leaflets to every household. RNC hopes to secure its support in Monteclair as the biggest city in the Azaro rural region. Okay. Opposition figure lodged complaint against Rizian Radio. Rizian Radio requesting the false Daedor. Several RPP members have gathered formally to complain against the dominance of RNC enjoys on the airwaves. Electoral Commission recruiting poll watchers. In order to ensure a smooth election process, the Electoral Commission has put out a call for volunteers to help watch polls. Okay. Call from Chancellor Hegel. In the middle of the night, I was woken up by a knock on my bedroom door. I heard Pavel's voice in the hallway. Sorry, Romus, but there's apparently an urgent call for you downstairs. Alright. I'll be right out. I quickly dressed and joined Pavel in the hallway. Any idea what this call is about? Pavel shook his head. It's on the blue phone. It's a world leader. Your aide will have more information. We walked through the palace corridors until we reached my study. An attendant stood ready with the blue phone. He informed me that Chancellor Hegel was on the line. Pick it up. I pick up the phone. Good evening, Mr. Hegel. Hello, Mr. Toras. I'm sorry to disturb you at this hour, but we have unfinished business. What do you mean? The nationalization vote was a success, but the future of the trade zone is far from decided. In fact, with your vote comes a unique chance for cooperation. The Democratic Republic of Valton would deign to cooperate with a monarchy? Not normally, but in this instance, there is one point we can agree on. The Republic of Lesbia does not belong in the Maftium International Trade Zone. Like, if I do this, I'll actually be like pissing off Lesbia in three folds. One is the palace, second is the nationalization, third is like stealing the share. Another East-West battle? You should know that as a member of Grace, Rizia is obliged to stay uninvolved. That's simply not true. Lesbia has played and will continue to play an integral role in the trade zone operation. Yeah, right about Prime Minister Alvarez's behavior during the meeting was appalling. I'm not a fan of Latvia profit mongering either, but stripping them of their assets could be a dangerous for everyone. You know what's dangerous? Allowing Latvia's selfish protectionist policies to slowly corrupt the new trade zone we're trying to build. But with Morelos extending central control over the MITs, there'll be a limit to how much harm Latvia can do. As Mr. Alvarez said, the MITs could be nothing would be nothing without Latvian mining technology. Why we can't ignore his country's contribution. And how do you suggest we stop it? I know that Prime Minister Sultana is meeting individually with you and Prime Minister Alvarez to come up with a nationalization plan for MITs. Latvia will do everything in its power to keep its operation running exactly as before. You, King Romus, will not let that happen. You have Prime Minister Sultana's ear. Why don't you try to convince her to give Latvia the boot? That's easy. I was planning to make sure Latvia got the short end of the scepter anyway. You can't order me around, Chancellor. Okay. You have Prime Minister Sultana's ear. Why don't you just try to convince her to give Latvia the boot? Volk's relationship with Morella is still young and fragile. I do not want us to be accused of overreach. Rizia, on the other hand, is Morella's direct neighbor and longtime ally. It's only natural that you would request a more favorable deal. At the end of the day, I am only asking Rizia to act in its best interests. Outbidding Latvia may be in our best interests, but it takes a lot of resources. What can Volgan offer if I could make this happen? Oh dang it, I pressed the wrong button! Shit. Actually, like, I bought a new mouse, and click on one of it. Dang it. I clicked on the button, that's why like, I chose the wrong one. Oh. It's not loading. Not loading. Uh-oh. It's not loading. I think I need to restart it again. Yeah. Maybe we give it a minute. I was like, I thought it is not loading. Let me restart the game. It takes a while to start a game. Oh. What's wrong with it though? Uh-oh. Okay, finally. Oops. I wonder if they're gonna make more. But I do feel like the engine is not properly optimized. Oh, there's news though. Major support for RNC by the Crown. Rumbert coming south. I can't improve likely that Rumbert will keep trying to push further south, threatening the territory of Swordland, Wackland, and possibly Agnolia. Okay, I'll be right out. Any idea? Pick it up. Good evening, Mr. Hagel. Okay, this is where we stop. I think. Okay, this one. What can Voxland offer us if I can make this happen? It would certainly be advantageous for Rizia to keep its foothold in the midst. If we end up with more than Nesphia, so much better. Okay, let's want to say, what can Voxland offer if I can make this happen? A perfectly rational question, Mr. Toras. Rizia military weakness is no secret in international circle. Make sure Lesbia ends up with nothing, and Voxland will provide you with navy with a significant upgrade. I'm afraid Voxlandian aid may be a red line for our partners in Greece. Don't you think it's time to distance yourself from that network? You must know how isolated you're becoming. Regardless, I'm worried that accepting your Republic's military assistance will send wrong signal internationally. Voting for its ITZ nationalization already aligned you with Voxland. You may as well take advantage of it. You can expect the delivery of new vessels and equipment as soon as nationalization agreement is finalized. Can I count on your cooperation or not? Yes. Do not accept. Yes, but do not accept. No, but given the magnitude of Lesbia investment in the midst, I can go along with your plan. Ooh, quite scared though. Because if we take this right, I'm quite scared. Okay. Because it's like the 3 strikes you're out. Okay, like I say. Number 1, we took Palace out from Lesbia's, right? Number 2, we nationalize it. Number 3, if we decide to do this, like, in order to like take Lesbia's share, like, I'm scared we might go into war though. And on top of that, we're gonna receive aid, military aid. Like, no matter how you look at it, it's like we're cutting a backroom deal though. Yeah. Like, right now, Lesbia was just like, huh, he's turning to a commie. But Greece, I'm quite scared though. I'm sorry, but I can't promise you anything. What a shame, but I understand. I wish you luck regardless. Good luck, and good night, and give my regards to the princess. I really want to take it. I really want to take Lesbia's share. But after I think about it, right? After I think about it, we might be playing with too... Like, we might be flying too close to the sun and get burned. That is why, like, if we go for another one, like, it's gonna throw his economy into shambles. And when the economy in shambles, like, they want to try to take it back. So I think... I really wanted to take Lesbia share. Divina, why? He hung up. Why did you say that? Read the report. RPP puts forward housing as a campaign issue. Early voting starts. Traditionally, the first part of the country to vote, residents in the Kelkabets have started heading to the polls. Custom dictate that votes on the island are to be tallied in the mainline. Therefore, early voting is required to ensure voters make it over on time. Morella invites MITS members to discuss nationalization. Amidst the worsening housing crisis. Okay. Oh boy. Ooh. You know what? Since we already have like a save here, right? Since we have a save here, maybe we can go for like pissing him off. Like I say, this will be playing with fire, okay? We might go into war for that. Oh wait. Oh wait. This is yesterday. I thought like it's the same time. God dang it. Ah shit. I can't believe I oh crap. Oh crap. I should have just stick with it. I should have just stick with it. Oh wait, is it? Oh no no no. We're too late. We're too late to load the one just now. Okay. We can't load the previous one. Like the hail, call. But okay, I'm willing to go ahead with this decision. This is after the hail call. I'll be invited to Cavet, the capital of Morella, for a meeting with Prime Minister Alma Santana. Our plan was to discuss how to proceed with the nationalization of Maftium International Trade Zone. My security leader and I exited our motorcade outside the gates of the People's Garden, Cavet's largest park. Originally known as Imperial Gardens, it had served as a private strolling ground for the Emperor of Meridia. Then for the Reinhardt family during the Volgish occupation. When Morella reconquered Cavet in 1923, the vast green area was open to the public. Once immaculately landscaped with imported Volgish trees and flowers, the park was replanted with native Morella flora and allowed to grow wild. Children played hide and seek in the tall grasses and raced each other up to the conical hill in the corner. Alma Sultana greeted me inside the gates, accompanied by only a small security retinue. Welcome to Morella, Mr. Toras. I don't have one. Quite a lovely park we have here. Smile. I like it too. Wait. Dude, are you trying to say we have a chance to, like, romance her? The Meridian Empress found beauty in control. Today, we find it in freedom. She motioned for me to follow her. A barely marked path led into a dense bamboo grove. We walked in, shadowed by our guards. This was all planted after the Vogs left. Amazing how fast it grows. As we kept walking, I noticed the corner of a wooden object peeking out from behind the stalks. Take a closer look. It appears to be a memorial plaque, carved in traditional Volgish style. On it was a square-jawed man, Axel Reinhardt, exact double, triumphantly hoisting his sword atop of the park's central hill. An inscription below it read, "In commemoration of the brave deeds of Otto Reinhardt, Viceroy of Palace and loyal servant of the Valgos Empire." the taking of Cavett, a punishment for siding with the wrong house in your war of succession. Morella went up against the House Toras. What did you think would happen? I'm surprised you haven't gotten rid of this. Why keep reminders of the Valgos occupation? So that it won't repeat itself? The Valgos Empire used our family conflict as an excuse for land grab. Both our countries lost territory. What a tragedy. Our houses should have found a peaceful compromise instead of dragging other countries into battle. I agree, with the caveat that Meridia wasn't dragged. They saw the alliance with the Azaro family as a way to gain power over Rizia. Losing territory to Voxen was fair enough punishment. It's disgusting how the Reinhardt family has managed to stay in power all these years. I'm surprised Morella doesn't bear a grudge against Volk. Volks may be a republic now, but its motivation haven't changed. You should be wary of your new friend, Mr. Hegel. His administration has made an admirable attempt to atone for Vagos Empire misdeeds, which doesn't mean I trust him without reservation, of course. You don't trust him either? Interesting. To be clear, I trust him more than Patricio Alvarez or you at this point, but that could change. At the end of the path, we came to a small cylindrical building that looked strikingly different from anything else in the park. A traditional Morellan tea house, historically a place for exchange and a refuge from prying eyes. We had a seat inside as our guards kept watch outdoors. The low ceiling room was decorated wall to wall in colorful woven fabrics. In its centers, smoke rose from a roaring fire pit up through a hole in the middle of the ceiling. A waiter came by with a tray of sucker, Morellan tea biscuit. Why thank you, I love a biscuit. Please help yourself. We each took a biscuit off the tray. I bite into mine. It was dry, crumbly, and barely sweet. Perfect for washing down with a sip of tea. The waiter placed a pair of intricately ornamented tea glasses in front of us and filled them up. We drank. The tea was delicious. I don't need to tell you how grateful I am for your kingdom's vote. Not so fast. Nationalism won't happen unless we come with a final proposal that Rizia is happy with. Don't get me wrong, Miss Sultana. I will not walk away with nothing. I say not so fast. I'm fully aware of that, and I'm keeping an open mind as we discuss the proposal today. Obviously, I want the final agreement to be favorable for all four parties involved. You might as well give up trying to court Lespia's favor. Alvarez isn't willing to budge. That's the spirit. Voxland, Rizia, and Lespia all deserve to be compensated. I have a vague hunch that you won't be able to please Voxland and Lespia at the same time. Yeah. She smiled wryly. I can try. She tapped her fingers on her teacup. As I said during the board meeting, my proposal involved the purchase of Rizia, Lespia, and Voxland ITZ assets by a newly formed subsidiary of Morella state-owned mining company. Each country would have the option of using the money from that sale to buy up to 20% stake in that company. With Voxland opting out, Morella would retain 60% ownership of the MITs at a minimum. So in the end, we'll only be losing 5% of our original share. That sounds reasonable. I'll be honest, even with 20% of the share of the MITs, the regulation you're imposing would devastate our economy. I'll be honest, even with 20% share of the MITs, the regulation you're set on imposing would devastate our economy. That's why I'm prepared to offer additional incentive, material or otherwise. She drained her glass and pushed her teacup aside. So tell me, Mr. Toras, what is it Rizia wants from Morella? Rizia wants Morella's soul to be Morella's sole energy supplier. You will purchase oil or natural gas from us at a price that we determine. You are aware of our present difficulty with Zille region. We would ask for your aid in taking back from Wackland. I want you to marry me. What? What? Holy shit! Wait, what? That's out of the blue. I heard great things about Morellan built aircraft. I would like some for Rizian Air Force. We have covered all Rizia and how which will Morella agree to fulfill? I think getting back Zille is the most important though. She folded her arms. If Rizia had allowed its revolution to succeed as it should have, you wouldn't be having this problem. Wackler's intervention was my father's idea, not mine. My duty is to ensure peaceful transfer of Zille back to Rizia. And we be puppet of Acacia, which would be a big problem for you. Not every revolution turns out the way you want it to, Miss Sultana. Can you really say modern day Dirdia is better off than the Empire of Meridia? Are we here to talk politics or making deals? Let's be pragmatic, Miss Sultana. I think we can say this. Number one is the best. She looked at me thoughtfully. You do seem to be more enlightened breed of monarch. Alright, what kind of aid would you ask of us? Rizia is providing strategic assistance to certain local factions to support our aims. We like Morella's help in covertly shipping supplies to these factions. No, only your diplomatic support. We need as many countries to speak out against Wackland's decision. We pause. There's nothing I would like more than to condemn Wick the Small-Eyed Kid and his one-man reign of terror on an international stage. But we'll be taking the risk. United Continent is still backing Wackland through all this. You're not in the CSP, Miss Sultana. You don't need to worry about United Continent's opinion. Not yet. I don't want to close off that possibility. But I will think about it. Was there anything else? Rizia wants to be Morella's sole energy supplier. You will purchase oil or natural gas from us at a price that we will determine. You look at me in the eye. I won't deny Morella needs energy, but that's a large commitment. Nationalism is also a large commitment, Miss Sultana. It would send a strong signal to the superpower. South Merkopa can rely on itself. I think this is the best for our interests. It was also sent a signal to a coalition of monarchies. Greece, was it? He frowned. I'll tell you right away that I do not want to have any contact with Duke Greenheart. Palace may own the field, but Rizia has the full rights to it. We can decide what is done with it. I'm wary of entering into an energy arrangement with the man whose family occupied my country for over a century, even an indirect one. You know, if I say this, what will Lucida say? Damn. Can I just look at this and like, you know, reload? You do realize what year it is. I was joking. Shame on you for believing I will only see a powerful female leader like you as a marriage material. You had a strategic marriage with Rombergian monarchy for years, so yes, I thought you were serious. I'm going to have a lot of trouble taking you seriously going forward. Ah! Any actual demands? Yeah, not really. I know she wouldn't bite. I knew she wouldn't bite. That's why, like, when I first saw that option, like what? Don't you agree? Okay. We lost one of our important cities and our access to the Antacian. There is no comparison. Thankfully, we were able to get it all back after the revolution. Uh, you lost a city. We lost a territory. Take a closer look. Fox and maybe a republic. But thank you. I love a biscuit. Not so fast. I have a vague hunch you won't be able to face Volkston and Lesbia at the same time. I'll be honest, even with 20%. Rizia wants... You're aware of our present difficulty with Zille region. It would ask you for taking it back from Zille, from Wekland. To help you united Kanata, partner more closely with Rizia, and you will not need to compromise on your values. Partnering with a monarchy is compromising on my values, but I'll think about it. Was there anything else? Rizia wants... Not necessarily, we have other energy resources. Good. I'm worried of entering into an energy arrangement with the man who's occupied. What else do you want? I heard great things about Moreland aircraft. I would like some for Rizian Air Force. That can be arranged, but not for free. We'll give you a good price on our best stock. Is there a specific reason you're interested in strengthening your air force right now? We need a strong military if our kingdom is to assert relevance in the 20th century. If it is Rizia's citizens or government that needs to be brought into the modern age, not its artillery. But I understand the need to keep peace. We've stepped up our own military efforts as Kinar and Dirdia have increased theirs. Any other wishes? We have covered all Rizia's demands. That depends, Mr. Toras. We are planning on meeting a limited number of your demands in addition to offering a 20% share in the new ITZ. But if you forgo that share entirely, Vogden has done, we will gladly make it worth your while. What if I want to buy Lesbia's share along with Rizia's? Giving your kingdom a 40% stake in the restructured MITs? In that case, Mr. Toras, Morella would be the country making the demands. The waiter came by and took away our empty teacups. Sultana waited until he was gone, then she looked at me. Tell me, does Rizia wish to purchase a share in the nationalized MITs or not? Yes. Accept the offer for 20% share in the restructured trade zone. Let's ask what we have to do to buy Lesbia share. She nodded. I'll humor you, Mr. Toras. First of all, we are still interested in an energy deal with Rizia, but one where we have more control over the terms and prices. We would also ask that you contribute a small sum of money towards the rehabilitation of Arufeld watershed. One more thought. We require assistance in dealing with the Dirtians attempting to infiltrate our waters. And by dealing with, you mean killing? I mean peacefully deterring. Oswald refuses to talk to me. Can you guess why? Because you're lingering animosity between your countries? You think that will be a factor, but no. The Supreme Wiseman simply refuses to negotiate with female leaders. But I have a hunch he will respect a king and fellow Ruhises. I can try my best, but I doubt I'll be able to get through to him. Your help will be appreciated, but if you're willing to fulfill the other two conditions I mentioned, I will let this one go. What did she say? Like, she wants energy on her terms? But do you think still interested? You drive a hard wagon, but I still want Lesbia to have Lesbia share. No, I'd rather go back to making the demands. I'll stick with the 20% share for Rizia. She smiled. That's much easier. Thank you. But make sure you are well compensated for your loss of income. She brushed some biscuit crumbs off the tablecloth. The details will have to be worked out with the help of my ministers and your counselors. This is too formal an arrangement to be signed off over tea, I'm afraid. But thank you for coming to the table, literally and figuratively. This marks the new start for both our countries. I hope so. She stood up and pushed her chair back. Feel free to take a biscuit for the trip home if you like. Sure, it'll come in handy if there's a leak in my palette that needs plugging. Wait, I have something for you? What is it, Your Majesty? Give her a hug. I give her a hug. She stiffly returned it. We left the tea house and joined our guards outside. Aww. That's... I wouldn't say that's super smooth, but... not bad. RPP closes campaign in Bronas. A massive rally not too dissimilar from the one that started the campaign. Oh god. Elections. On the return flight from Mola, I took my first class seat in the plane that had been chartered for my return from Mola. It struck me how much comfortable this jet was than the ones we had in Rizia. Looking outside the window, I could see Argno and the mountains. The future of our relationship in Morella and the myths was in my head. I looked at the papers in front of me. Proposal of seizure of Rizia's assets in the Mathium International Trade Zone. Rizia hereby agrees to transfer its existing assets in the Mathium International Trade Zone to Morella in exchange for 20% of the stake of restructuring myths, as well as the following. Rizia's nationalization demands. Ooh. This tree is good. Yes. I reviewed the agreement once more before signing it. The pilot announced that our descent into Port Raison had begun. I fastened my seatbelt. That's pretty good. We got 3 out of it. Not long after my return from Moala, Elena and Lorenzo requested a meeting with me. Prime Minister Sultana's minister had sent a feedback following our midst negotiation. The future of Trade Zone is now hung in the balance. We convened in the council chambers. My councilors greeted me with smiles on their faces. Your Majesty, I hope you're rested for your trip. I slept wonderfully since my return. Finishing those negotiations was a real load on my back. The two of them glanced at each other. Elena cleared her throat. Actually, Your Majesty, we still have some housekeeping to do in that regard. Laurento shuffled through some documents. The Morellan Foreign Ministry has completed a review of our draft proposal to the Nationalites' midst. Unfortunately, they claim we are asking for too much. They say Morella will only fulfill 2 of the demands you mentioned in your meeting with Miss Sultana. Fair enough. I wonder if I was getting too greedy. I wouldn't call it greedy to expect compensation for nearly 4 decades worth of investments. Looking at what we asked for, she peered at her ledger. Energy stores are still robust. A favorable deal with Morella would be a fine way to make use of them. What's more, if this deal comes to fruition, Morelos will pay for construction of an energy pipeline from our country to theirs, effective immediately. Purchasing airplane from Morella would certainly benefit our air force. We have the budget for it. But are we really anticipating an imminent area conflict? You have a point. We don't need those planes. Having a fully modernized air force will help keep us up with the rest of the Merkopa. I don't see it as a necessity either. We asked for logistic support from Zille resistance movement, but I believe we can drop this request. We already have the beginnings of a deal with Wackland. With any luck, we'll be able to get Zille back without the internal need for internal pressure. And I'll look up for her ledger. I'm willing to demand less. What can we live without? Let's drop the airplane deal. They say Zille is already good, so we can cancel our request for Zille support. Perfect, Laurento. I assume you inform Morellan partners immediately. Right away, Miss Warner. I confess I'm still worried about our finances, not to mention our relationship with Rizian Royal Gold. But who knows, if we play our cards right, this could be a coup of the century. Our share may be smaller, but we get the better deal overall. History will vindicate us, Your Majesty. While we have you here, a word on Palace. He nodded at Elena. Right. Yes, the Rizian Oil and Gas is finishing up work on the pipeline that will carry gas from Aurea's field to Rizia. Once drilling begins next year, we can expect high returns, even factoring in the royalties we have to pay to Palace. There's one small snag. The Palesians are requesting that we send diplomatic liaison to Castle Reinhardt to oversee the last stages of the deal. Evidently, our willingness to work with Morella on the nationalization plan got the Duke worried. Knowing what we know about Palace's possible involvement in Zille bombing, I'm beginning to question the deal myself. I agreed to pay everything he was asked for. I think I earned his trust. A reasonable request, as long as it's not for too long. It should only be for a short while, Your Majesty. Don't we already have diplomatic envoy in Palace? Can't we use them? We certainly could, but Duke Reinhard ministers have hinted that they would prefer a presence of a higher level individual. This seems like a mostly symbolic position, geared towards someone young, energetic, and quick-witted. Someone who commands respect, but is able to leave the capital for a 6-month stretch without it affecting government operations. He and Elena slowly turned to look at each other, realization drawing on their faces. And we do know Duke enjoyed the company of the fairer sex. I've been thinking that my daughter would benefit from spending time abroad. I did love to travel when I was her age, both rights accepted. I'm certain Her Highness would be a great help, Your Majesty, but it's up to you. And the princess, of course. You don't have to make the right decision right away, but the Palesians are expecting an answer soon. I'll speak with Vena and let you know what she says. Thank you, Your Majesty. We've gone long past our allotted time. Why do we call it a day? An excellent suggestion, as usual, Miss Warner. Gladly, I have enough of foreign policy talk for a time. An excellent suggestion, as usual, Miss Warner. The three of us wrapped our meeting and went our separate ways. It's only for one. If I want to sell the plane, I could. It's only for one budget. I think it's a steal, that one. Expanded gas field. Escaris field. I visited Vena on a yacht trip from Topaz out to view the Escaris gas field. I hadn't visited since this expansion had been completed, and it had been a long time since my daughter and I had talked. The Rizania was anchored a few hundred meters ashore, or offshore. I stood on the aft deck, awaiting Vena's arrival. Claiming she was tired of being hounded by the press, she asked to take a dinghy incognito from a nearby port. As the small craft pulled up alongside my yacht, I realized my daughter wasn't alone. She secured the boat and climbed out to join me on the deck, followed by Manus Saison. "Hello, father." "Greetings, your majesty." Manus bowed. The two of them regarded me nervously. "I know coming here wasn't your idea." "Relax, Saison. I know coming here wasn't your idea." He broke into a smile. "Your daughter is a hard woman to say no to, but you know more than I do. I wanted a chance for the three of us to speak in private, out of the way of the press." "I don't like this, but seeing as Mr. Saison called all this way, I'll indulge you both." "Thank you, your majesty." The yacht pulled up anchor and we began our journey to the Escaris field. As we ascended to the upper deck, I noticed Rizania's shabby state of repairs. The paint was peeling off in places, and a few of the fixtures were rusted. "Apologies, Mr. Saison, this yacht seen better days." "It's a sight grander than the schooner my mother and I used to putt around in. It's too polite. The Rizania hasn't been restored since before mother died. But our country shouldn't have to pay for the upkeep of the king's luxury vessel, don't you think, Mrs. Saison?" Well, if the king sees the utility in maintaining such a craft, I wouldn't dare to oppose him." We sat around the table on the upper deck. A server came around with orange juice and light refreshments. I looked around. We were surrounded by open ocean, with the gas field yet to come into view. "So, father," Her Majesty I. They look at each other and laugh. "Whatever it is, you can wait for now. We need to talk about Palace." My daughter composed herself. I saw worry in her eyes. What about Palace, father?" "They are requesting a diplomatic liaison for our gas deal. And I said I know just the one for the job." "Really?" She hesitated. "Are you sure they want me, father? I never carried any diplomatic duties before." "If you can serve on the council, you can do this. It's a good preparation for being queen." Ooh. I think... Do I want to use her? Okay. Maybe she will definitely tell us if there's something up, right? So we just like don't want to belittle her, and let's tell her that. "I love to." She looked questioningly at Manus. He nodded. "That doesn't change what we were about to say to you, or what we were about to ask you. I don't think it's a secret that the two of us are connected in celibus." I should have stopped them. "We've been corresponding since then, and speaking on the phone when we had the time. I confess, I withheld my feeling at first, fearing reprisal from the king. Yet the more we spoke and wrote, the more I realized what a fool I am to walk away from such a beautiful, inspiring woman." Vina blushed furiously. "We both know better than to rush into marriage, but it is our hope that you will give us your blessing into our relationship." "You don't need my blessing." We shouldn't bless them." Okay, we're not gonna give a blessing. You don't need my blessing. Vina's a grown woman. Vina's eye sparkle. Thank you, Father. Of course, I see it. Of course, I see it the same way, but it means a lot to hear from you. But I would ask that we only make the relationship public once Vina returns from Palace. Still, I must say I have a reservation about your future children carrying the name Saison. Make the relationship public once Vina returns from Palace. Manus reached over and squeezed Vina's hand. She sighed. I suppose we waited this long. For you, Your Highness, I would wait an eternity. They embraced tightly. A content silence descended. After a while, a faint industrial noises began puncturing the quiet. We were nearing the Escaris field. Let us behold the majestic gas extraction capabilities of Kingdom of Rizia. Manus and Vina nodded to each other. They got up from their seats and walked up with me to the ship's bow. Wow. The expanded gas field was a sight to behold. A veritable city of metal drilling rigs rose up from the sea in front of us, connected by a labyrinth of platforms, cables, and pipelines. Make sure to mention this when you're in Palace, Vina. We have our own gas. We are not desperate for the Grand Dukes. There's something strangely beautiful about it, isn't it? I don't find anything beautiful about the destruction of marine habitats. Manus squeezed her shoulders. You'd rather we go back to the coal and oil? This is the cleanest, safest energy source out there. Except for my province's hydroelectric dam, of course. You have our thanks for that, Your Majesty. Greater energy independence is a win for all of us, Mr. Saison. Yes, both my house and the RPP are happy to see Rizia making progress on that front. Rizanias completed a slow circle around the gas field and began heading back towards the Topaz Harbor. I'll head out on the dinghy before we reach port. Wouldn't want anyone getting the wrong idea. Don't worry, I won't be long before you can step off the yacht arm. That the King of Rizia is engaged in a torrid affair for a man half his age? That would be dreadful. Vina rolled her eyes. Nobody was in danger of thinking that, Father. He looked into Manus' eyes. We'll be together soon. I know it. The time will pass in an instant, love. I'll make sure of it. The deal will go off without hitch. Manus kissed her passionately, then swiftly made his exit down the stairs. A few moments later, I hear the thrum of the dinghy engine, then a metallic clunk as it detached from the yacht's docking platform. Vina slumped against the bow's railing. I'd already seen her this forlorn. Bending over a man, that's not the Vina I know. Nor the Vina I know, but what can I do? We stood there for a while, watching the little boat as it disappeared towards the shore. Man, that's long. We're still in turn 5 though. We've been stuck in turn 5 for quite some time. It's been 2 hours. Royal Yacht Restoration. Authority. Okay. Now we have some money, okay? Okay, first thing we need to do, we need to expand. Tree budget! Oh god, that's hell, man. Can we sell? Two energy, one budget. 2 authority, 5. 2 authority, 5 budget. So 2 energy equal to 1. Ooh. Ooh. 1 equal to 2. 1 equal to 2. I want to sell, man. To budget. To budget. Damn it. I really can't do anything. I really can't do anything right now. Monkey's port expansion ordered. Next one, we need to go for welfare, man. We need to go for welfare. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that we... Okay. The thing right now is that we're actually like gonna lose money from the Escaris field, but we are gonna sell the surplus back. So in other words, it's a neutral. Okay, so it's a good thing. Resavina take diplomatic assignment in Palace. Rufus Greg Royal Gossip Vixel to become an item. Disappointing news for who would back and sell the king is sending her highness to Palace and straight into the arms of a single Axel Reinhardt. Officially, Vina is serving as diplomatic liaison for the hotly anticipated Rizia Palace gas deal. But once that's over, will a different kind of deal be sealed? If there's any woman who could finally get Duke dashing to settle down, it'll be our princess. RRG CEO Montero critical of the king. Rusty. Rizia and Morella relations improve. RNC campaign closing event turnout outshines RPP. Like I say, the like stealing from Lesbia is good in terms of economy wise, but we might have more repercussion down the line. Like we already like have 2 strikes on us, so I don't wanna be I don't wanna, you know, pay too much into it, okay? Okay. Like I hope in the next turn nothing goes wrong, so I can go for welfare. I still have an increased funding though. And it takes 2 budget per turn. We need to go for this. -2 budget. That's crazy. Go for this. And go for this alongside. Maybe I'm going for that alongside what's this? Order. Yeah, we need to go for... Wait, which one is it? Oh yeah, investment in public transport infrastructure. So this too, man. This one. And health and education. That's a lot. So that's a total of 6, right? Yeah, it's a total of 6. God dang. Oh well, I think that's it for today because this is the end of the turn, so it's just nice. Turn 5 is quite long. Turn 4 and 5 is pretty long. I was expecting to finish it within this week, but I doubt we'll be able to. Maybe next week? Who knows? Okay. But at least right now we do have surplus in terms of like authority and energy. I wonder if you know, the heavy industry park, when is it gonna like, you know, pay dividend? Let's double check. Administrative costs, raise, legal drug taxes, MITs. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not getting anything from, like, it should have at least increased, like maybe 1 or 2. It kind of makes me wonder, like, what's the point of building it if it doesn't improve our economy? And why does it always have to be like this 2 places? Oh well, that's all for today. Okay, tomorrow we'll pick this up, and oh boy, maybe we'll just continue. Okay, we'll just continue on Shores of Gold. So we're gonna stop here, okay? But can we just read it? Read the report. Okay. Palace Hail Stream tabs ready to be open. Execute gas field expansion. Okay. I think we're good. But can I check? Millennials workers strikes. Halt silly. Oh god. Global media campaign proposal. Oh man. Okay. I think we really need to go for, like, we need to invest in public transport. Okay, we've been focusing too much on like the economy. Okay, but that's up for tomorrow. Okay, that's all for now. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye. Why can't things go right?